Alright, let's see if we can clarify some stuff in this quick video here. Basically, this is the question I get a lot. What does f of x plus h mean? What do I do with that thing? And that always comes in the context of a problem where you're given a function like this, and I'm going to do it with an example, f of x equals something, and you're asked to evaluate or find f of x plus h, or f of negative x, or the easy example would just be like f of a number, like f of 9. And so I always try to rely on the easy example to then extend it out to here. So if it's f of a number, where instead of an x being there, there's a number, all you're doing is plugging that number in every time you see an x. Every time you see an x in the expression here, you would plug in that number. Same would go for negative x, which we could do that one second, but I'm going to start off with this. And it's just a little bit more difficult, a little bit more abstract, because what I'm plugging in for x is x plus h itself. Okay, so again, I got an example here. Let me try to zoom in so that you can see this a little bit better. Alright, let's see if we can get this. Alright, so essentially we've got x plus h right here. That is the input. I'm going to plug in x plus h for x in both of those locations and just evaluate and see what happens, see what the math tells us. Alright, so I'm going to write f of x plus h to start, and I'm rewriting this whole entire expression. Every time I see an x, it's a simple substitution. Instead of x, it's x plus h. Instead of x, it's x plus h. Alright, so from here, that's essentially it. Now we do want to fully expand this. We want to simplify this a little bit, so I'm going to work on doing that, and it's going to take a few steps. Alright, so let me move down a little bit. Alright, so we've got 3 times x plus h squared. So x plus h squared, I want to remind you that that is in fact x plus h times x plus h. It's not x squared plus h squared, it's x plus h times x plus h. That's what it means to square something. And then distributing the 2 times x is 2x, and then 2 times h is 2h, and then minus 4 comes down. You might want to make special note of how I'm organizing my work. I'm bringing down my equal signs, I'm writing it so that you can see the sequential steps. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write out this 3 needs to be multiplied times these 2, but I have x plus h times x plus h, so I'm going to write that in a box. It might look a little bit weird for a second. But essentially, I want you to remember this part. If you've learned this in Algebra 3-4 or 1-2, x plus h times x plus h on the sides of this box are going to be multiplied together. That's going to give me x squared in that first box. X times h is xh. X times h is xh. It's a weird term, but it's just an xh term, or hx, either way. And then h times h is h squared. Okay? So then we've got, I'm going to keep bringing this stuff down, plus 2x plus 2h minus 4. Alright, so if I were to expand all that, it would be 3 times, that's x squared plus, how many xh terms are there? There's 2, so this is x squared plus 2 of the xh terms. There was an xh, one xh here, and another xh. When you're adding them together, you combine them. There's that term, plus h squared plus 2x plus 2h minus 4. And then I can finally distribute this 3 to each term. Okay, so I'm going to do that last, very, very carefully without dropping my camera off the table. And you get 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared. Don't forget to distribute all 3 terms, plus 2x plus 2h minus 4. And then you just want to double check. Are there any other x squared terms in here? No, I can't do anything with that. Are there any other xh terms in here? Nope. Are there any other h squareds? No. Any other just x? No other just h's. And then just plain old numbers. So this is what f of x plus h equals when you start off with that up there as your original equation. You might be wondering, why the heck would I want to do this? And it's actually, there's a slick trick that you'll learn in the beginning of calculus. This is pre-calc. So this is the beginning of something that you'll use. So you'll need to know how to do that type of algebra in order to be able to do some of the calculus. Just to go a little bit further, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but if you did encounter something like this, and I'll use that same function f, if you did encounter f of negative x, what would you do differently? Well, remember my equation originally was 3x squared plus 2x minus 4. So if I wanted to figure out what f of negative x is, what I would do is the same exact logic. Every time I see an x, I'm going to leave it blank for a second. Every time I saw an x in the original, I'm going to replace it with a negative x. So what does this become? Well, negative x squared, a negative x times a negative x is going to be a positive x squared. So this just becomes 3x squared. 2 times a negative x is negative 2x, so that's minus 2x. And then there's no substitution with the 4, so it's just still minus 4. And that's what f of negative x is. You will need this idea when we do even and odd functions, and that's going to come up soon. So I hope that gets you started. That should help you with some of the assignment problems that I've assigned you. Good luck.